Coming up on Newsnight, Turkish leaders suspended thousands of police officers on Tuesday. Iraqi and Kurdish forces attacked the Islamic State's largest controlled city of Mosul with U.S. help. Presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump battle it out for 3 states. And we'll have a roundtable discussion on faculty unions amidst a possible strike by university faculty in Pennsylvania's state system of higher education. This is Newsnight. Good evening and welcome to the first episode of Newsnight. I'm Alex Grubbs. Hurricane Matthew hit North Carolina hard last week, causing billions of dollars in damage, according to NC authorities. The floods and high winds damaged over 100,000 homes, businesses, and government buildings. About 33,000 North Carolinians filed Federal Emergency Management Agency assistance, with $12 million approved. The floods reached roof levels and led to 26 fatalities. The state deployed drones in order to determine the amount of damage in areas still affected by flooding. 32 shelters have opened across the state for residents affected by the storm. Authorities hope for declining water levels by October 24th. Over 2,000 are still without power. Turkish leaders suspended 5% of Turkey's police force on Tuesday, consisting of roughly 13,000 police officers and 33 Air Force officers. These suspensions occurred hours after a 90-day state of emergency was declared, allowing President Tayyip Erdogan to make decisions without approval from Turkey's constitutional court. Turkish authorities have also called for a complete shutdown of the Turkish television station IMC for allegedly broadcasting terroristic propaganda. This is part of Turkey's crackdown after the country's failed coup attempt in mid-July that led to 240 people's deaths. According to a Turkish police headquarters released statement, all officers suspended were in cohesion with or connected to Fethullah Gulen. Gulen is suspected to be in connection with the coup and is currently located in Pennsylvania. Thousands of government workers and officials have been dismissed since the coup attempt, and 32,000 were arrested in connection thus far. Turkish officials asked the U.S. to hold Gulen in custody until a decision is made for his extradition to Turkey to stand trial. Iraqi and Kurdish forces joined and took siege over the Islamic State's largest controlled city of Mosul. Forces cleared 9 villages in less than 24 hours. The United Nations warned before the attack that over 1 million people had the potential to become caught in crossfire while fleeing the city. UN Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Stephen O'Brien expressed concern to Iraqi and Kurdish forces about civilian protection, fearing that ISIS could use civilians as, quote, human shields. 2 U.S. airstrikes assisted the siege that led to the destruction of 5 ISIS supply bases and 2 ISIS-controlled buildings. This has been the largest conflict in Iraq has faced since the U.S. invasion in 2003. Polling close numbers, Republican candidate Donald Trump and Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton are battling to gain support in 3 prominent states: Nevada, North Carolina, and Ohio. October 10th through 15th polls show a Clinton lead in North Carolina and Nevada, and a Trump lead in Ohio. 46% of Nevada voters are backing Clinton, followed by 44% for Trump and 7% for Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson. North Carolina shows Clinton with 48%, Trump with 47%, and Johnson with 4%. Trump has Ohio at 48%, 44% for Clinton, and 4% for Johnson. This comes after allegations of sexual assault after a released tape of Trump making lewd and sexually charged comments about women, and after the WikiLeaks release of Clinton emails. Clinton currently holds an 11-point national lead over Trump. And the University of Nevada, Las Vegas is holding the 3rd and final presidential debate between Clinton and Trump tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Fox News moderator Chris Wallace will create discussion between the candidates on topics from debt and entitlement to immigration and the economy. The debate is set up similar to the first, with both candidates receiving 6 15-minute segments on topics selected by the moderator. The candidates will have 2 minutes to respond and are given the opportunity to respond to one another. All major networks will offer a live stream online and a live broadcast, as well as YouTube and C-SPAN. Later in the show, I will be joined for a roundtable discussion on faculty unions as university faculty in Pennsylvania threaten to strike.
476 days. That's how long this contract between Pennsylvania's 14 state universities and their faculties has been expired. October 19th. That's the day the state's faculty union has slated to walk out. So what does all this mean for the system's 112,000 students? At the center of the dispute are the terms of a collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. So what exactly is a CBA? We spoke to Dr. Colleen Cook, a professor at Slippery Rock University and vice president of the Slippery Rock chapter of the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, or APSCUF for short. APSCUF, in other words, is the state's faculty union.
So CBA that's how it's abbreviated, collective bargaining agreement. It's basically the contract. It is the contract between the faculty and the state system, which is our employer.
The last CBA ran for 4 years, effective from July 2011 through June 2015. As the agreement nears its expiration date, the next step is to negotiate terms for a new contract. The agreements are made on a statewide level between the state's negotiators, administrators, and top-ranking union officials. According to a release from APSCUF, negotiations began in December of 2014. However, after several negotiation meetings,
in January of 2016, the state system fired their attorneys, or their attorneys, their legal team. And so from January to April of 2016, there were no negotiations whatsoever because the state couldn't meet. When they finally did come back to meet a full year later in June, they proposed 249 changes to our current CBA. A full year into what should have been active negotiations, they did this.
Ken Marshall, the official spokesman for the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, says that the state has been negotiating in good faith with APSCUF, but the primary sticking point has been financial.
We have been bargaining in recognition of, we have an outstanding faculty. We want to give them raises. Our faculty currently are among the highest paid in the nation among their peers. They rank in the top 10 to 15%. The average total earnings of a faculty member in our system, full-time faculty member in our system last year, was just under $100,000. Earlier this year, we started negotiating exclusively on a long-term agreement. Again, we proposed, very significant increases, but we do need those cost savings. There has to be a balance.
APSCUF maintains its faculty are mainly stuck on high-caliber teaching in education.
So we believe that there's a value to both online course instruction and traditional course instruction. But we as faculty members believe that the hands-on, face-to-face, traditional classroom structure is much better and much more beneficial to our students. And the current CBA, the one that we've been working under, also states that there is a preference for traditional courses. The new contract kind of devalues that traditional classroom, that traditional face-to-face classroom activity.
The state system says it is committed to quality education, but pointed out its schools have had financial hardship.
We are interested in making sure that students have access to courses via distance education when they want them. But we are not, there's nothing in our proposal that would require a student to take a course by distance ed, nor is there anything in our proposal that requires a faculty member to teach a course by distance ed. In fact, the language says, in terms of faculty, that courses being taught by distance education are to be voluntary. The faculty member must want to teach the course. There's nothing in the contract that requires any faculty member to teach a course via distance ed unless they are hired specifically to do so.
Seeing no other option, APSCUF faculty voted in September to authorize a strike. On September 23rd, APSCUF President Dr. Kenneth Mash announced via Facebook Live their next move.
I'm about to I say with a heavy heart, in that we feel that we have no choice but to say that by October 19th, if we don't have a contract, all the faculty at all 14 of our universities will be on strike.
In other words, all faculty at all 14 universities will walk off the job in the middle of their semester. So what are students to do October 19th?
I know for me, as I was preparing for this semester and feeling the crunch of no contract, I put a statement in each one of my syllabi that says that I am the teacher of record for this course. I am the instructor of record, and grades can only be awarded by the instructor of record.
If the faculty, if a strike does happen, we intend to keep the universities open. The one thing that's important to note is the faculty union could call the strike, or can call the strike, and they're the only ones that can. They're the only ones responsible if there is a strike. But it's up to individual faculty members to decide whether or not to actually walk out on students and walk out of classes. Individual faculty members have the right to choose whether to continue to teach or whether to go on strike.
So I do know that if they were to go on strike, there's no obligation for us to maintain to go to class or to maintain to keep up with our academic studies unless the reported grader is doing so.
The state has not indicated any plans to change the academic calendar in the event of a strike. However, both sides maintain their commitment to reach a deal.
If we go on strike from 12:01 a.m. the day we go on strike, I don't get paid. I don't have any health benefits. Okay, it impacts us too, and that's going to hurt. Not having a paycheck, not having health. We have Cobra that we can buy, but it's like $600 a month. I have a mortgage to pay, so I want the strike to end. I don't want to go on strike. We offered binding arbitration. We were willing to make concessions, and the state flat out refused. The state is doing this to them. The state system of higher education, Chancellor Brogan's office, they are doing this to the state system of higher education in Pennsylvania. They're going to destroy it.
There are some universities that should there be a strike, and should that result in significant additional losses of enrollment. Our universities have seen enrollment declines. Most of our universities have seen enrollment declines for 5, 6, 7 years in a row. If a strike results in additional enrollment loss, and should it go on for any extended period of time, there are some universities that may not be able to survive that.
If the state and faculty don't reach an agreement by October 19th, 112,000 students will be without faculty. The administration has told them to continue to go to class anyway. I'm Alexander Popichak, and this is Newsnight.
Welcome back to Newsnight. I'm here with Beth, Turnbull, and Josh Croup. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us on the program, Alex.
Today we're going to talk about the possible strike happening with the faculty unions for the state system. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yikes. If I'm a student at one of these state schools, I'm angry, Beth.
Right.
That, like, my money could be going down the toilet. I could have to be, like, they're bringing in substitute teachers. Like, throwback to high school when we had these
Right.
but now you're paying for these classes and you're getting somebody who might not be as qualified, and they can't really grade you, as we heard Colleen Cook saying that. They can't grade you. They can't give the grades. Like, if I'm a student, I'm enraged.
Right, you're going to be losing out on all of that money and everything that you've been working for. Like, what is going to happen to these students? That's my main concern.
Yeah, according to Ken Marshall, he's the spokesperson for the state system of higher education. He said if the strike lasts more than 3 weeks, this semester basically is invalid.
It's gone.
Yeah, so everything they're doing from classes to the fact that they already paid, it strikes the question, will they be reimbursed? How will they go about that?
There are more questions than answers, and right now, I guess we have no answers with this, and it's almost unprecedented. Like, we don't see a statewide strike like this from multiple schools. It's not just like Slippery Rock striking.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a
It's
ton
all
of
of
state
them.
schools. It
It's
is all of
13.
these states. There are 13 schools.
Yeah.
How many thousands of students? How many thousands of families that are pouring money into this? Like, it goes far beyond this, but far beyond just the students.
Exactly.
Yeah, what is it? Wayne Fontana, he's a Democratic senator for, Pennsylvania, the House of Pennsylvania. He said the other day that if schools do, like if this strike does happen, schools may go under because enrollment will start to go down.
Enrollment's down across the state. Enrollment's down at this school too. A
Yeah.
little. It's not dramatic, but
Yeah.
it's enough. And this school is also in the middle of negotiations for the full-time faculty's first
Yeah.
union contract, the adjuncts last year.
Yeah.
Like, is this maybe foreshadowing something that we could see in the next year or two if nothing gets done? That's a realistic thing that, maybe people at this school are starting to pay attention to this stuff happening at the state level and say, uh-oh. I mean, we go into these, fifth month, 6th month of negotiations, whatever. These contracts take a while.
They do.
And this contract has been going on for almost 2 years with the state level. And it makes you think, okay, we still have some time here at this school before anything bad happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's in the back of your head. It's in the back of the freshmen's head, the sophomores, the juniors that are still here, that this could affect us down the line. And Beth, if you're a student here,
Right.
what are you thinking as a student? Like, you're seeing this happen on the state level with, and we all know people at these schools.
We do. I'll tell you, Josh, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that if these schools actually do go on strike, all of these state schools, people are going to lose out on their education that they've paid for. People aren't going to graduate on time. These schools might actually close.
And the graduating on
Yeah.
time thing is huge because you got kids that are at other schools that aren't striking that are graduating on
Right.
time. They're going to beat
They're
you to
going
the
to get
jobs.
those jobs.
That's not
Yeah.
cool.
There's this one girl that goes to Cal U, and actually she's taking all these classes so she can graduate early. And in this case,
Yeah.
what will happen? Will she have to pay more money later down the road because she's trying to keep and save some money? But if this strike happens, she loses out on the 6 classes she's taking this semester, and she'll probably have to take it again, and she'll end up being there longer.
And who's the bad guy in this situation? Is
Yeah.
it the teachers for striking? Is it the administration? Is it who's the bad guy in this situation?
Yeah. There's so many variables that goes into it, because the teachers, they just want a good contract because they've been working without a contract for over 400 days. But at the same time, the university, you have to think about how are they going to get that money in the first place to pay these teachers. It's going to come from the students. So I feel at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's the bad guy in the situation. The students are the most affected by it.
And it's a lot of push and pull, a lot of give and take, and whenever there's not a lot to give, you can't really take a lot, and it's
Yeah.
a touchy, it's a fine line. And in negotiations like this, the teachers and the unions, they're the ones that are going to be speaking because they want the contract. The administration, you're not going to hear a pipe from. You're not going to
No.
hear a
Yeah.
peep from
Absolutely
them
not.
because they don't need to. They don't need to take this to the media. They don't need to talk to the media about this. But your professors, they're going to want to talk. They're going to want to say, "We want a contract." They're the bad guys. So the professors in these situations would make the administration look like the bad guys. But then the administration, they look like the bad guys because they're saying no comment because they don't need to. They don't
Right.
want to. And so in a situation like what we're dealing with at Point Park, you have the union members and the union representatives and the faculty, the full-time faculty professors that are saying, we want a contract, they're taking forever, and the administration is saying no comment. They don't need to comment. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to start that fight. They don't want to start a war because they don't need that. They work too closely, the administration and the faculty here. And it does concern me that this is a possibility that we're seeing this happen to our friends because we all, like I said, know people at these schools. I have
Yeah.
a ton of friends at Slippery Rock, at Clarion. Like these,
Right.
I feel bad for them.
Do you think that this could happen at Point Park?
I don't. I don't think this will happen at Point Park. And you hear the gripes and the complaints. Oh,
Yeah.
we've.
Right.
But the biggest thing right now, from the professors that I've talked to, there's side A and there's side B. There are the full-time faculty that have these nice like honeymoon contracts that
Right.
pay very, very well, but they don't have to do a lot because they're tenured and they like their contracts where they have them. But then you have the professors that are like $46,000, $55,000 a year that doesn't sit well with them. And so they're the ones that are like, we want a good contract, we want to strike, we're going to strike
Right.
if you don't give us something. But that pushes, there's two different sides just on the teachers. You can't have
Right.
half the teachers strike and half the teachers not. They got to all be in unison. Right now, they're not. So I don't think a strike's going to happen. They're early on in this negotiation process. They still have a ways to go. And so I don't think that it'll happen. I don't feel like. I hope it won't happen.
See, my question is, especially with the Playhouse being built, what kind of result would a strike end up
Oh.
for that?
That would be
Oh, man.
awful.
Yeah.
And we just opened the Center for Media Innovation. We have the Playhouse opening soon. Millions of dollars going into that. And how many thousands and potentially millions of dollars are going to be affected by this strike that could happen as early as tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your insight. Thank you guys for tuning in for our first episode of Newsnight. I'm Alex Grubbs, and this is your news.